we'll be beginning with Tamsin Stafford, Partner Manager at GS1 UK. Tamsin is responsible for driving collaborative initiatives to enhance GS1 UK's external environment and to foster the growth of standards in key areas across supply chain and digital transformation.
Hi everyone, I'm Tamsin Stafford, Partner Manager here at GS1 UK. So I'm going to give an introduction and overview of GS1 UK and GS1 standards in relation to RFID in healthcare. So essentially, GS1 is the global language of business. We have 116 local member organisations around the world, all working towards this common goal. So a lot of people really know us for the GTIN, which is a unique identifier found in GS1 barcodes. There are 10 billion barcodes scanned daily, more than Google searches. There's over 2 million companies who use GS1 standards and 100 million products that carry GS1 barcodes. So absolutely everything we do is built on standards in terms of that global language of business. So GS1 standards allow everyone to uniquely identify, capture and share information in a common format, which is open to all and shareable by all. So in terms of identify, this enables organizations to identify products, people, places, and assets. For example, within the EPC RFID data capture, the identification key is the GTIN plus a serial number for each instance of product and or the GI-AI, which is the global individual asset identifier. In terms of capture, so as well as barcodes, both 1D and 2D, there's also EPC RFID, which is one of those three data capture standards. And in terms of share, this is in relation to different types of standards, such as product master data or transactional data using things like invoices and purchase orders. So there's several benefits of GS1 standards, but some of these top line ones here are that they are documented open standards. They facilitate collaboration, they enable interoperability, they encourage innovation, and they prevent vendor lock-in. So we work across several sectors here at GS1 UK, including construction and retail, but healthcare is definitely our biggest area. So we have a fantastic dedicated healthcare team, and we work with healthcare providers, suppliers and solution providers to improve patient safety, reduce unwarranted clinical variation and drive operational efficiencies. By working collaboratively with stakeholders, we help the NHS save thousands of lives and millions of pounds. So to give a bit of an insight into that, Scan for Safety is where lots of people know us. It's something we were heavily involved in. So in 2016, this practice came into play across 6 demonstrator sites who incorporated GS1 standards in their inventory management and point of care scanning. So to give you some of the results here from a 2020 report, there was 140,000 hours of clinical time released back into patient care, £9 million worth of non-recurrent inventory savings, and nearly £5 million worth of recurrent inventory savings across those 6 demonstrator sites. So we operate a 4-nation approach to Scan for Safety. So in England, it now sits with the NHS England Patient Safety Team to support NHS trusts with the widespread adoption of GS1 standards. Health and Social Care Northern Ireland are working with GS1 UK to implement GS1 standards across their provider organisations. NHS Wales are rolling out a national Scan for Safety programme which mandates the use of GTINs and GLNs. And NHS Scotland are taking a national approach to inventory management as part of their Scan for Safety programme to improve medical device traceability. So we can take a bit of a deep dive into Scan for Safety in England, which is where the programme started. So as mentioned, Scan for Safety in England now sits with the NHS England Patient Safety Team. They're aiming to build on successes and learnings of the initial phase that started in 2016. The team will encourage trusts across England to adopt scanning technologies in line with the objectives outlined in the NHS Digital Clinical Safety Strategy. So we can look here at some of the amazing benefits that have been seen from the use of Scan for Safety, incorporating GS1 standards. Firstly, patient safety, so fewer patients with faulty implantations, faster device recalls and better clinical analysis. In terms of financials, there's better stock management, better operational decision-making and less wastage. And in terms of data collection, because it's automated, there's faster data collection over manual entry, fewer errors, and more efficient submissions. So going into RFID standards in healthcare. So EPC is the global standard for RFID. So the electronic product code enabled RFID is the global standard maintained by GS1 for RFID technology. The EPC standard defines 3 key elements of the technology. 1 is how data is to be stored on the tag, 2 is how a tag talks to the reader, and 3 is how readers talk to business systems. So there's several reasons why GS1 standards are important in RFID, several benefits here, but just to look at a few. So firstly, EPC is an open global standard, so it's not a proprietary system. Any EPC tag will work with any EPC reader, and it's global, therefore it enables tagging at source. EPC is cheaper, so the development of a standard helped drive economies of scale. So the tag price was reduced by 75% since 2011. It's a royalty-free IP. EPC is fit for purpose, so it was developed by the industry based on best practice, and it builds on the existing GTIN standard that's already in use by many. That GTIN is the one I mentioned at the very beginning in terms of barcodes. We've been around for 50 years, so it's in place and it works well. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. So going into use cases and the benefits of using GS1 standards from those use cases. So firstly, asset management. The GIAI, which is the Global Individual Asset Identifier, can be encoded into an EPC tag and connected to an asset. Trusts can then identify individual assets and register relevant data such as its location, as well as repair and maintenance activities. This can be used across things like beds, computers, desks, vehicles, transport equipment, or spare parts. Significant time is therefore saved on manually locating assets, meaning more time is spent on patient care. By encoding repair information into the GIAI, staff can be notified if a product is due for servicing. This can be used by other healthcare staff, such as engineers, cleaning crew, maintenance staff, or anyone else. They all have access to this information. Expensive assets can, of course, be prone to theft, but being able to track those assets and their location can reduce that theft, since alerts can be placed on assets that will go off if they're removed from their pre-designated areas. Moving on to patient and staff tracking. So EPC RFID tags can be embedded into patient wristbands and/or staff ID badges, and then track people as they move through the hospital, as the patient's details will be pinged against every location tagged with a GLN, which is the location identifier. This allows you to monitor and gather data to show how long patients and staff are in a particular area. So the use of GS1 standards for this use is very valuable from a security and safety point of view, as trusts can track staff as well as vulnerable patients, for example, dementia patients and newborn babies. Their tags can prevent them from accessing unauthorized areas such as quarantine zones or areas that house high-value equipment or medicines. With vulnerable patients, those EPC tags can also be set off alarms if they enter into an unauthorized area. So this is extremely beneficial as well in terms of infection control. So you could monitor people's movements to track the spread of something like a norovirus outbreak in hospital. And patient wristbands using EPC RFID tags can also be used by caregivers to access patient electronic notes quickly and efficiently and provide information on a patient's activity whilst in hospital. And lastly, inventory management. So a GTIN can be encoded into an EPC RFID tag that's connected to medicines, which is hugely beneficial for inventory management tracking. So the use of GS1 standards reduces the time spent on manual stock counts, and as an automated system, it will improve inventory management data accuracy significantly, and it can also be set up to trigger automatic restocks, all of which, of course, puts time back into patient care, which is incredible. EPC RFID tags can be placed inside or outside drug boxes and can be read with either handheld readers or be constantly fixed through tracked readers. The latter is, of course, extremely valuable in an emergency situation when time can't be spent individually scanning each item directly. Rather, you can take the product and go and it will track it. So the use of EPC RFID tags can also prevent theft, especially if access to medicines and equipment is linked to staff ID badges, for example. Thank you for listening. So if you would like to get in touch with GS1 UK for anything, if you want to discuss EPC RFID in more detail or the technicalities involved, discuss a membership or partnership, my email is there. Please do feel free to get in touch, tamsin.stafford@gs1uk.org. Thank you.